So now we're going to talk about how to approximate square roots. In other words, how do I look at a square root and know about what that decimal is going to be without needing to look at a calculator? So for example, if you throw out to me, hey, Mrs. Lang, what's the square root of 18? I'm going to say, oh, it's about 4.1 or 4.2. Now, how do I know that? Because I don't have all these memorized. I simply have a process. So you are going to need your perfect squares poster that you made on a previous step in this checklist. So if you don't have that, you want to pause this video and get it. The back of the square roots notes. So I've actually written up the first example. I've written it all up. Because this is a full page, you probably also want another piece of paper to take more notes on, because I'm going to do several more examples. So if you need to pause the video to go get some more paper, you are going to want to do that as well. But you are going to need those things. So let's start with the square root of the one I just gave you, which was 17, 18, either way. And I'm going to go through my thinking process, then I'm going to go through this example here. So you were asked, or I was asked, hey, what is the square root of 18? About. We are estimating here. I cannot emphasize that enough. And we're just going to estimate to the nearest tenth. Okay, I'm not going to worry about hundredths. We're just going to do tenths. So I'm actually looking at a perfect square poster right now. And all those perfect squares are listed, and I can see the perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, so on and so forth. Well, 18 falls between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25. Those are the two perfect squares that 18 falls between. So as I look at my poster, 18 is not on there because it's not a perfect square, but it would fall between 16 and 25. So the first thing you want to do is find those two perfect squares that these fall between. Okay? That means the square root of 18 is somewhere between the square root of 16 and the square root of 25. Now I know the square root of 16. If I don't, I can look at my poster. That's 4. The square root of 25 is 5. That means the square root of 18, if I think of this as a number line, is somewhere on this number line between 4 and 5. Okay? So, where? That is the question. But right now, I'm pretty good. I know my final answer is 4 point something. I just got to figure out that something, right? I wrote that a little low, but it's 4 point something. Okay? So now I look at 18. Okay? This drawing is kind of inaccurate. Right now, I kind of have it written like 18 is halfway between 16 and 25. Is it? Does 18 fall halfway between 16 and 25? No, I hope you're shaking your head no. 18 is much closer to 16 than it is to 25. It's only 2 away from 16. It's 7 away from 25. So right now, I know then that the square root of 18, if 4.5 is the halfway mark between 4 and 5, 18 is somewhere on this side. So now not only do I know it's 4 point something, I know it's 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, or 4.4. So I've really narrowed down what this answer is going to be, okay, because it's got to be on this side. Now this is where the guessing and the estimating comes in, okay? If it was a little closer to halfway, I might say 4.4. I don't think it is. It's really closer to 16 than it even is to that halfway point. So if I were to guess, I'm going to say it's 4.1 or 4.2. Now, the good news is for you guys, I would accept either one of those answers. I really would. I'm going to say 4.1. Now, just because I'm not sure for sure, because I really don't know, I'm going to check that. The square root of 18, ooh, I was off. It's 4.24. So 4.2 would have been the better answer. But 4.1 is also acceptable because, again, we're estimating about what we think it is. 4.3 would have also been accepted because that's within that range. 4.4, I would have been like, you're on the right track, but no. 4.5, I would have been, no, it's not halfway. And if you had done anything above, I would have said, no, you have to realize it's below the halfway point. So let's do the one we have on here that I have written out. Square root of 12. As you can see, It says, find the two perfect squares it falls between. Looking at your poster, the square root of 12 falls between the perfect squares of 9 and 16. Those are the perfect squares. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. That means the square root of 12 falls somewhere between 3 and 4. So right now, I know it's 3 point something. Narrowed it down to that. Now the question is 12 on that side? Is it closer to 9? Is it going to be on that side of 3.5, closer to 16, or is it going to be kind of closer to that halfway point? Okay, well, 12 is only 3 away from 9, and it's 4 away from 16, so it is closer to 9, but by very little. It's incredibly close to that halfway point. So it's going to fall right about here, 3.4 or 3.5. I'm going to say 3.4 because I know it's just that much closer. If you were to say 3.5, because that's pretty close to halfway between these numbers, that would also be acceptable. So as you can see, it says that here. You now know which two whole numbers, okay? To find the decimal, I determine if 12 is closer to 9 or 16, pretty close to in between. So I went with 0.4. Putting it all together, it's actually 3.4. So we are estimating if someone had said 3.5 or 3.6, you could probably be pretty close because I think the actual one is closer to 3.5. So any of those answers would have been acceptable, okay? This is going to be a long video, but I want to do another one, okay? So let's look at 34, okay? Square root of 34. So I have to look at my perfect square poster. Looking at that, 34 would fall between 25 and 36. Square root of 25, square root of 36. Okay, square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. This means the square root of 34 is going to be 5 point something. Now, is 34 closer to 25 or closer to 36? It is way closer to 36. So it's definitely going to be 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, or 5.9. Since it's really close to 36, I'm going to go with the 5.8 or 5.9. The actual answer is 5.83. So any of those would have been acceptable. This just takes a lot of practice, your perfect square poster, and continuing to go through that process.